Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, September 14th. Hurricane Florence came ashore earlier today near the Wrightsville Beach section of North Carolina as a Category 1 storm. It remains a Category 1 storm and is moving very slowly, 6 miles per hour to the west in the latest reading, the 8 a.m. reading, and it will continue to move very slowly over the next 24 hours or so, and that will lead to an extended period of heavy rainfall and strong winds along the Carolina coastline. Some sections will receive 20 plus inches of rain from this storm, and it'll finally push inland during the weekend, moving westward over the state of South Carolina, and then begin to accelerate as it begins a looping pattern. It will first turn to the northwest and then ultimately to the northeast over the weekend and into the early part of next week, finally exiting the northeast U.S. coastline by the middle part of next week. Well, here's the latest satellite imagery view of Florence over the past several hours. This kind of switches channels from night versus daytime, and here we can tell a couple of things. First of all, a very broad storm here, a symmetrical looking storm. Again, it's a Category 1 storm and will slowly slide to the west, southwest along the coastline over the next 12 to 24 hours or so, and then we'll push inland over South Carolina and then begin to accelerate and take a looping pattern ultimately to the northeast and finally off the northeast U.S. coastline by the middle part of next week. At 8 a.m. the central pressure is 958 millibars and the maximum sustained winds were at 90 miles per hour. Well, here's the latest look at the radar loop for the past several hours. First, very concentric radar echoes around the center of Florence, which again at this hour right along the coastline here in southeastern North Carolina. Tremendous rainfall in this area, right in this region right here. 20 plus inches of rain, perhaps 30 plus inches of rain will end up falling over this extended period of time. Many times hurricanes cause about a 6 to 12 hour period of tremendous rain and wind for a given area, but in this case, because of very slow movement of this particular storm, some of these areas will experience heavy rain and strong winds for 24 hours to perhaps as much as 36 hours. Again, that will lead to some tremendous rainfall amounts over the next couple of days. Farther to the north, there are a couple of outer bands that certainly could produce some rainfall along the mid-Atlantic coastline, places like the Delmarva Peninsula, perhaps even into southern New Jersey, and of course southeastern Virginia will get some rain bands as well over the next 12 to 24 hours. But again, this will start to slide to the west over the early part of the weekend across the state of South Carolina in a weakened state during the middle and latter part of this upcoming weekend. Well, let's take a big picture look at the Atlantic Basin tropical season, and many of these systems weakened in the overnight hours. Here, of course, is Hurricane Florence, Category 1. There is a system here near the southeastern part of Texas, and it will not reach tropical storm status. Nonetheless, it'll produce some significant rainfall in this region over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Isaac has weakened into a tropical depression. It will continue to move to the west, shows no signs of strengthening over the next few days. And a couple of systems out here, Joyce and Helene, tropical storm status. They will continue to push. Actually, Joyce will tend to fall apart, but Helene will push to the north and east and ultimately could have an impact on Ireland and the United Kingdom in several days. But again, the main player right now is Florence. And once Florence moves off the coastline, again, likely to cross over South Carolina and then begin to loop and accelerate and ultimately move off the northeast U.S. coastline by, let's say, late Tuesday night, perhaps early Wednesday time frame. And once that happens, the Atlantic Basin tropical scene could actually be quiet for at least a little bit here. However, there are signs that it will pick up in activity again during the latter part of September and for part of October as well. So again, once Florence gets out of our hair by the middle part of next week, we could have a bit of a break in the Atlantic Basin tropical scene, but there certainly are signs for more activity later in September and certainly during the month of October. Well, I thought we'd wrap up by showing the precipitation amount forecast by NOAA in two stages. First of all, this goes through Monday, and this will encompass of course, the main tremendous rainfall threat from Florence over the next few days. Then we'll focus in on the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City, because the impact here in the I-95 corridor from the remains of Florence will come in the Monday night, Tuesday time frame with some heavy rainfall and some strong gusty winds. And we'll take a look at the rainfall prediction for that time frame in the next couple of minutes. First of all, the pink here represents 20 plus inches of rain seen right here, and the southeastern part of North Carolina is really the bullseye region for this tremendous rainfall of 20 plus inches, perhaps in some cases 30 plus inches. This is where the storm is spinning right now, slowly creeping down the coastline, and again, tremendous rainfall amounts in this area over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. And of course, they've experienced heavy rainfall and strong winds all night long. And again, significant rain extends all the way up to the southern part of the mid-Atlantic region. This goes through Monday morning. Let's now switch to the I-95 corridor region from Monday through Wednesday of next week. And here it is from the Monday to early Wednesday time frame. This is the prediction for the rainfall amounts. And again, the biggest impact from the remains of Florence in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City will come late Monday, Monday night, Tuesday time frame with some heavy rainfall and some strong gusty winds. It could very well be a very windy time period with winds out of the south ahead of this system Monday night into the day on Tuesday. The heaviest rainfall pretty much associated with that expected track. Again, we expect the remains of Florence to push over South Carolina, then begin a looping fashion somewhat like this. And just to the right side of that track, there certainly can be some strong thunderstorms, perhaps even tornadic producing thunderstorms. That is not atypical for an accelerating tropical system, even if it is in a weakened state. So again, within a couple hundred miles to the east of this track, there can be some strong thunderstorm activity early next week, perhaps even some tornadoes. Several inches of rain can also fall in places like the western mountains in western part of Virginia, around Charlottesville, for example. But again, in D.C. to New York City, the biggest impact will come Monday night, Tuesday time frame. Some heavy rainfall, some strong wind gusts. Of course, nothing like what they're experiencing down in the Carolinas, but nonetheless, there will be an impact here from the remains of Florence early next week. It all gets out of here. Looks like nice weather sets up for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, following the passage of Hurricane Florence. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.